friends. Welcome to Lucifer Talks. I'm Danny, and I would like to thank all the viewers for the love and support they have extended to my channel, Lucifer Talks. So continue giving me your support as I'm counting on you, and do subscribe to my channel. We know that higher education is expensive, and getting education from overseas might have long-lasting impact on the savings of the parents and the students. Parents and students have keen interest in work opportunities for international students thinking about moving to Canada for higher education. So today we will talk about on-campus and off-campus work opportunities for international students while they are studying here in our wonderful country, Canada. So the first question is, so who can work on campus? Students can only work or only start working in Canada when they start studying the program. You cannot work before your studies begin. So make sure you don't jump into working just after landing in Canada. If you do so, you're going to get in trouble. You can work as an international student in Canada if your study permit lists a condition that says you're allowed to work on or off campus. So you can work on your campus without a work permit if certain conditions are followed. You're a full-time post-secondary student at a public post-secondary school, such as a college or a university, private college level school in Quebec that operates under the same rules as public schools and is at least 50% funded by the government grants, or a Canadian private school that can legally award degrees under provincial law, have a valid study permit, and have a social insurance number. Please never share your social insurance number or post it online in excitement. Just share it with your employer. This is a secret number, so always keep it secret. As per Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, you must stop working on campus on the day you stop studying full-time. So when your study permit expires, you are no longer authorized to work. So if you are on an authorized leave from your studies, if you are switching schools and aren't currently studying, you can return to work only once you're back to studying and you meet all the requirements to work on campus. Where can you find jobs? Where can you work? On campus means you can work at all the buildings on your school campus. If your school has more than one campus, you may work at the campus where you're studying in most cases. But you can work at other locations as well. If you're working as a teaching or research assistant, or you're working strictly related to research grant in a case, you may work at a library, hospital, research facility associated with your school, even if they are outside the campus. And who can you work for? Literally a lot of people can employ you. An on-campus employer can be the school, your college, your university, a faculty member, a student union or a student organization, or for yourself. You can run a business that is physically located on the campus. For example, you own a coffee shop that is located on the campus, a private business, a private contractor that provides on-campus services to the school. But before working, make sure you have a social insurance number, which is legally required to work in Canada. Social insurance number is a 9-digit number that the government of Canada gives you. With this number, you can work in Canada and get government benefits and services. To apply for the social insurance number to work on campus, you must have one of the conditions printed on your study permit. May accept employment on or off campus if meeting eligibility criteria as per Regulation 186 F, E, or W. Must cease working if no longer meeting these criteria. The permit does not authorize the holder to engage in off-campus employment in Canada may accept employment only on campus if meeting eligibility requirements as per the regulation 186F. Must cease working if no longer meeting these criteria. If you're eligible to work on campus, but you didn't have these conditions included in your study permit, you can ask to have them added. There is no fee to add these conditions to your permit. You'll need to request an amendment to your study permit before you can apply for a social insurance number from Service Canada. I hope this is clear for on-campus. Now we move to off-campus. So you and your employer must make sure you can work off-campus without a work permit before you start working. If you start working off-campus but don't meet the requirements, you may have to leave Canada. You can only start working in Canada when your study program has started. So that means no work before the program starts. If you're able to work during your studies, I'll say it will say so in the conditions on your study permit. You can work off campus without a work permit if you meet all of the requirements. You are a full-time student at a designated learning institution with a proper DLI number. You are enrolled in a post-secondary, academic, vocational, or professional training program, or a secondary level vocational training program in Quebec only. Your study permit or your study program is at least 6 months long and leads to a degree, diploma, or a certificate. Your study permit stays in the user remarks or condition sections that you can work off campus. Find out what to do if there are no work conditions for your study permit. You have started studying, you have a social insurance number, you're good to go. If you're a part-time student, you can work off campus only if you meet all the requirements, as I mentioned above. You're only studying part-time instead of full-time because you're in the last semester of your study program and you don't need a full course load to complete your program. And you were a full-time student in your program in Canada up until your last semester. What happens if you're on an authorized leave? If you're on an authorized leave from your studies, or you're switching schools and you're not studying, you cannot work off campus. You can only return to work once you are back to studying full-time. A lot of students and parents have asked, how many hours can you work off campus? So, during regular school terms and semesters, you can work up to 20 hours per week. During scheduled breaks in the school year, you can work full-time if you're on a scheduled break, such as winter, summer, or fall or spring reading week. You're free to work overtime or work 2 part-time jobs that add up to a higher than usual number of hours. You must be full-time student both before and after the break to work full-time. You cannot work during a break that comes before you start your very first school semester. Questions have been asked as to how many hours count as a full-time work. There is no set answer to this. There is no set number of hours per week that counts as full-time work. However, your employer or employers must follow our provincial norms on overtime pay and between shifts benefit. If your program doesn't have scheduled breaks, you can work up to 20 hours per week. Working more than 20 hours per week is a violation of your study permit conditions. Don't accept cash paying jobs because that is also going to put you in trouble. You can lose your study permit or study status and you might be told to leave Canada in future. You may also have to leave the country. Who cannot work off campus? You can't work off campus without a work permit if any of the conditions apply to you. Your study permit says you aren't authorized to work off campus while you study. You're only enrolled in an English or French as a second language program. You're only taking general interest courses. so you cannot work at that time. You're only taking courses required to be accepted into a full-time program, like a university pathway program or a high school. If your situation changes and you no longer meet all of the requirements to work off campus, if any of these situations apply to you and you want to work while you're studying in Canada, you need to apply for a work permit. If your study situation changes, if you weren't eligible to work off campus, but your study situation has now changed, you may be able to change the conditions of your study permit. You can apply to change the conditions of your permit if you have changed your study program to one that may allow you to work off campus. And your study permit says this permit does not permit the holder to engage in off-campus employment in Canada. Or Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada included a condition on your study permit that may no longer apply. For example, you have a study permit to complete a prerequisite course such as an ESL or FSL course. You are then accepted into a full-time study program. This would mean you could apply to have the condition not being allowed to work off campus removed from your study permit. You must apply to change the conditions of your study permit. There's a fee to make this change. You must change the conditions on your permit before you can apply for a social insurance number. So changing conditions is a must, and you must change the conditions from time to time. You will need to apply for a new study permit from within Canada. When you apply online, your personalized checklist will include the application to change conditions, extend my stay or remain in Canada as a student, IMM form 5709. On that particular form, check the box to apply for a study permit for the first time or extend my study permit and fill out the rest of the required fields. You must include a letter with your application explaining why you need the condition removed from your study permit. Working after you complete your study program. After you complete your study program, there are two ways you may be able to work full-time. You already applied for a work permit before your study permit expired, or you are starting a new study program, or you need to meet all conditions or requirements listed below to work full-time. If we refuse, or if Citizenship Immigration refuses your work or study permit application, you must stop working and leave Canada. If you already applied for a work permit, you can work full-time if you meet all of those requirements. You were already able to work off campus during your studies. You already applied for a work permit or a post-graduation work permit before your study permit expired. You are waiting for a decision on your work permit application. If you are starting a new study program, you can work full-time if you meet all of these conditions and requirements. You were already able to work off campus during your previous studies. You have a valid study permit, or you applied to extend your study permit before it expired. You received written confirmation from your current school that you completed your program. So keep an eye on these changes as you progress in your studies. You receive a letter of acceptance to a new full-time study program at a designated learning institution. You will start your new program within 150 calendar days of receiving the confirmation that you have completed your previous program. I hope some of your doubts are cleared by now. If you have any questions or queries, please reach out to me and I will reply back to you. For more information, stay tuned and subscribe to Lucifer Talks. In my next video, I will discuss about co-op opportunities, postgraduate work permit, where you'll be able to work, what kind of jobs you should expect, and what kind of reality check should be in place while you choose to work after completing your program in Canada. So stay tuned and we'll connect next week. Take care. Bye-bye.